Hey guys, welcome to LoveCast, the Boys Love Podcast reviews, where today we're going to be reviewing the Taiwanese series about youth. I'm your host, Alexa, and with me are my fellow hosts, Pixie and Kayla.
Hey.
Hey. Hey. So just for a quick synopsis, About Youth is a high school romance drama that tells the story of two different couples. The main romance focuses on the quiet musician Qi Zhang, which I know I probably butchered that pronunciation, and the popular straight-A student Ye Guang, who he's been secretly crushing on from afar. And they grow closer and begin to develop feelings for one another, and Ye Guang is kind of forced to confront how he's been living his life just to please his parents and how that has impacted his youth, and all of that kind of comes from his relationship with Qi Zhang. And the story also follows Ray, who is Ye Guang's best friend and is kind of used to letting himself be trampled on in his relationships, where he meets Ah Jian, who is the barista and one of Qi Zhang's bandmates. And Ah Jian kind of treats him differently than any relationship he's experienced in the past. So it's an 8-episode series. Each episode is about 25 minutes, and you can watch it on Viki, Gaga Ulala, and Bilibili. So general thoughts about the series. I loved it. I have a lot of thoughts about it, but I'm curious what you guys think, because...
I don't know if you want to know.
Oh no.
Oh no. I feel like I'm about to land in the middle here of both of you guys, so let's just get it over with.
I haven't said a word because Heather was like raving about it, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to mess up the mood here, but no, it's not as bad as you would think. The only thing that stuck in my mind watching this was, this is like every yaoi I've ever read without the spice. I'm just like, I've seen this. I've read this 1,000 times. It's still...
Yeah.
I was bored. I'm sorry. I was genuinely bored. Sorry.
It's fair. It's fair. It's fair. It's fine. Yeah, we all have to agree on things.
So, first off, I feel like this series is literally that meme that goes like, a handsome guy next to a handsome guy next to a handsome guy. And that is like one of the main redeeming qualities of the show, is that everyone is so good looking. I even had to like make a key so that I could remember who was who. Because I was like, I can't. I have the problem that Pixie does with Korean names, but I have that with Taiwanese names. Like, it's really hard for me to remember. But it's interesting that Pixie's thing about it being simple was what she didn't like, because I felt like that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I really liked the, what's their names? Ye Guang and Qi Zhang story, because I feel like it was very heartfelt but simple, and that it was solid in the fact that it didn't need to be anything else.
Yeah.
Like, it was just good being like that. So even though it was something that we have already seen a lot, I liked it. I don't know. And you guys know how I feel about the wealth gap thing with characters. I just am really into it, so I think that's what made me just like seeing that archetype play out. And yeah, I did like how simple their storyline was.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. I just feel like there was no real fleshing out of like the world, the characters, or anything. It felt very superficial to me. And you didn't like get into like the personalities and who the characters really were. So I like complexity in my characters. I like their like it being a little deeper than just, yeah. That's why I'm saying like I felt like I was reading a yaoi without spice.
Yeah. I feel like Jian and Ray's storyline I really didn't like because I didn't understand how they got to the point of being together. And
Right.
it's because I was like, do we really know anything about them? Or
Yeah.
like how their friendship turned into them being a couple. So that I will say I didn't like. I guess they're the side couple. I didn't like that. I mostly just like the main couple.
Yeah, I was definitely. I think the general consensus that I saw on Twitter was, I think everyone really liked the side couple, but I also am in agreement with Kayla that I thought that Ye Guang and Ji Chang were much more appealing to me. And I also, yeah, I don't know, like I know Pixie really likes complex writing and complex characters, and
Yeah.
I have my place where like I really like those things. But I think like going into this knowing what the story would be, I just kind of like went into it with the mindset of okay, I'm watching a simple romance drama each week, and I was able to enjoy it a lot because of it. I definitely agree that there were like some plot points that kind of like didn't get fleshed out. Sometimes I kind of felt like it was meant to be a bit longer, and I don't know if something happened there that they couldn't flesh out the story as much as they wanted. Um, but I think like I saw this TikTok the other day because it's not related to this show, but there's been this ongoing debate on like BL Twitter about like how could you like something like Love in the Air over a complex series like The Eclipse? And the
I
TikTok
hate
was
that.
like, you know, like The Eclipse has such a complex plot, and Love in the Air is just like doesn't have any plot to it. And the person was like, well, the romance is the plot. And I feel like that kind of applies to what like
Yeah.
this series, like the whole plot was like basically them getting together. And I do agree that like with Ray and Ah Jian, like I don't think that they got enough time to focus on like how that storyline happened. I did like a lot of their scenes, but I feel like they definitely could have been fleshed out more. But I think like Ye Guang and Ji Chang were like that is where I would kind of apply that mindset. Like the romance was the plot of their story, and I also like really appreciated the um, parental relationship that Ye Guang had with his parents. I thought that part was pretty well done. I think he was more fleshed out as a character than Ji Chang was because, um,
Yeah.
you know, I feel like Ji Chang was kind of like, I don't want to say a plot device, but kind of like a plot device in Ye Guang realizing how fucked up his relationship with his parents was and how much he had been like putting aside his own needs for them. But I don't know. I think I just like maybe it's just what I needed at the time that it was airing because I watched it as it was airing, and it was like a 2 episodes a week, like 1 hour in total on Monday night type, just like sweet innocent high school romance, and I think you know it was just what I needed at the time, and so like it hit really really well for me.
I really liked all the conflict with Ye Guang and his parents. I think that was part of the story that I really liked too. I kind of wish that we saw more of Ji Chang's, I don't know, like his relationship with his dad that passed away, or like because we see that he's like, he was inspired to do music from him, but I just wish, maybe it's that I wish the series was longer because
Yeah.
then you could get more into these things. Because there were also a lot of loose ends, I feel like. Like
Yeah.
I don't think the run for president ever panned out
The
for
school
anything.
president thing just was like that was my one of my clips. Like it kind of was just like completely forgotten about in the last episode. Like Ye Guang was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna run for president, or like that guy who was like Ye Guang's mortal enemy, like had just like made himself his mortal enemy and was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna
For
run
no
for
reason.
president so he doesn't win, and like that guy was kind of like never followed up on, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
definitely,
then
it feels like it was meant to be longer, I
Yeah.
kind of think.
yeah. And then I really wanted to know what happened with the woman who was getting cheated on at the
Oh,
cafe.
yeah.
I wanted to know what was going
by
on.
Ray's like ex-boyfriend or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of potential to actually put that into the story that wasn't used. So
Yeah.
I just, there's, like, if you imagine a story is like a bunch of strings, and they maybe had like one or two strings connected, and the rest were just like flying in every direction, not getting finished or leading back to the meeting point. I don't know. If honestly, it's not a bad show. It's not bad at all. It's done well for what it is, but that's what made it boring to me. I just like, I've seen this 1,000 times. I've read it 1,000 times. There's nothing in this that puts it like making it stand out from the crowd.
That's
like
fair.
in a year, if you ask me about youth, ask me what the characters were or how they looked or what the plot was, I'm just gonna say, I don't know, pretty boys falling in love.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority of that. It was just like, I don't know, something about it just really clicked for me. And I think, I don't know. I don't know what it was. Maybe, like I said, I think maybe it's just what I needed at the time. And like, I enjoyed watching the simplicity of the romance. I do think like they probably bit off more than they could chew with some of the plot points, but I think that the points that they were able to flesh out, especially with Ye Guang and Qi Zhang, like, I just really appreciated watching that romance. I liked the innocence of it. I liked how natural their feelings felt coming together, because like Ji Chang obviously went into it already having a crush on Ye Guang, but I feel like Ye Guang kind of realizing his feelings for Ji Chang felt very natural, and they kind of had just this like confession scene while they were like playing amongst the bubbles and were like, oh, we like each other, okay, and it just kind of worked out that way. And I don't know, I don't think like everything like needs to be super complex when it comes to like developing feelings for one another and realizing those feelings. And I think that Ji Chang was like a really good support in Ye Guang when it came to like the situation with his parents, and helping him figure out and navigate that. But yeah, I think their romance was definitely the selling point for me, and I think a lot of why
Yeah.
it feels really memorable for me. And also the soundtrack is just like fucking amazing. Like,
Oh.
I'm obsessed
Yeah,
with
that
every
I
song that
agree
came
with
out
that.
from
It's
it.
amazing.
Yeah,
But-
I completely agree with that. I don't know. I feel like after History 3 in Taiwan, I sort of have these expectations for Taiwanese BL that haven't been met since, except for We Best Love. And I just, like, at least this is one of the better ones that has come out since. That's a lot. But at least it's a show. It's cute. I was just bored.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I think for me also, I don't know if you heard that car outside of my apartment. um, yeah, I think this was one of those ones that really benefited from watching it weekly, because there was a lot of, and like especially I think in our Discord server, like people were super hyped up about it, and so seeing other people's reactions to the episodes also made me really excited to like come home and watch it every
fair.
week. And like it aired on Monday nights, and I was like, this is just like a nice way to decompress after a shitty workday type thing. But yeah, I don't know, like maybe I would have viewed it differently if I binged it and was watching the whole thing in like 4 hours. Like maybe it would have made me more aware of like some of the loose
Yeah,
ends
'cause
that
I
weren't
did
hitting
that.
for,
Yeah.
for
Me
you.
too.
I feel like that's kind of the experience I had with Senpai, This Can't Be Love. Like, I binged it all in one sitting, and so I was a lot more aware of, like, some of the things that didn't quite add up for me there. But I think when you're watching weekly and, like, you're caught up in the moment of things, like, that probably left me with, like, a different impression of it. But I'm not mad at it. Like, I like the impression that I came up with, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes you'll get a show that you just enjoy and you won't have like a specific reason why, and that's fair. I mean, we all have, like, I have this show from China, from like a web series, because it's not one of those censored ones. And it's really low budget, and I freaking love that show. I cannot explain to you why. I just love it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, but yeah, I think it was just kind of like sweet and simple and not perfect, but it worked in the moment. I really enjoy the cast. Like, I think watching a lot of the cast interactions. I know they just recently did like a fan meeting, and watching a lot of their interactions as a cast. I appreciate that they were all cast like age appropriate. Like, all of the actors,
Yeah.
aside from the actor who played Jian, was like, he's like 26, but everyone else was like 18 or 19. So like, it was nice to watch like actual high school age students play in a romance drama and not have to watch like a 25-year-old man in a high school uniform.
yeah.
But yeah, I think like it was well casted, and I think that definitely played into it as well. Just like watching age appropriate actors in this like first youth romance story. And I know a couple of them talked about how like I think it was the actor who plays Ye Guang, like that kiss at the end, which I thought was so fucking cute. Like, Twitter like had such mixed opinions about it because they thought it was, I don't know what the word that was used was, but basically I guess it wasn't like cohesive enough for them in the way it came off. But then I was like, that's the whole point, because it was their first kiss and neither of them knew what they were doing. Like, I think it wasn't, I don't want to say hot enough for Twitter, but I feel like that's kind of like the vibe that people were getting from it when they were reacting to it. Like, it was a little bit too innocent, but I feel like that was kind of the point. But getting back to it, I was going to say that was also the actors, like, he said that was his first ever kiss ever. Like, not even just on screen, but like ever. So it just feels like the actors really were like fitting for the characters that they played. And I think that ties into the appreciation of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, the show is called About Youth. And like,
It's about youth. It is literally about their youth.
you cannot like go into About Youth and expecting like make our days count level of intimacy.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and
yeah,
I
we're
think
not
that,
making
like,
our days count. We're too young. It's youth.
Yeah, I think there was like this comparison of Ray and Ah Jian's kiss that they had, and then Ye Guang and Qi Zhang's at the end, because like that kiss that Ray and Ah Jian had was like very, I guess, the level of steamy that people wanted from the.
Yeah, but weren't they already like one of them already had a partner in the podcast?
Exactly. So that's why
experience.
exactly, like they were two very different relationships. Like Ah Jian, I think, was not even in high school, which, that's the age gap thing. I have mixed feelings about that, but at least the actors were all age appropriate. So, and then Ray had just come out of a previous relationship, so I feel like it wasn't fair to compare the two of them. But such is life.
Yeah. I didn't like their kiss.
The Ye Guang and Ji Chang one?
No.
Ray and Ah Jian?
Yeah. I don't know if that's controversial to say.
I don't know.
there was something very TV about the kiss. It wasn't visually pleasing like they usually put like TV kisses. The first kiss. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's just it looked crooked.
The one when they were in the street and they like kissed in the street.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt sloppy, which is fine when you're kissing like your partner in real life, but on TV, like it should be more visually
Pixi's like, clean that shit up for me.
I'm weird, okay? I get like hung up on weird stuff, but it's just like I was sitting watching, and that's one of the things that just like popped into my head. It's just like, this looks sloppy. Like, did you even practice? I mean,
Did you even practice?
One take.
How dare
Just
you?
one take.
It does kind of feel like that was the vibe, though. Like, considering the actor who plays Ye Guang was like, yeah, that was my first ever kiss. It kind of feels like maybe they did just, like, no rehearsal, just go for it on camera. And maybe they were trying to capture that more, like, raw feeling, but it just, like, did not work. That one just didn't work for you.
I have it's not that I have high standards, I have weird standards.
Very specific.
Yeah.
Heather says they did the scene quite a couple of times. So.
Yeah,
that's not helping their case.
It might not be their fault. It might be like the director.
Just the way it came off on screen for you.
I wonder if they had like a kiss coach. I just called them kiss coach.
An intimacy coordinator. A kiss coach.
Kiss coach.
Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about that kiss. I was thinking about the one in the last episode between them, Ray and Ah Jian, because that's the one that Twitter, like, freaked out about because they loved it. I honestly forgot if the kiss in the street had happened until you brought it up just then. I think doing this, I realized I was definitely very Ye Guang and Qi Zhang focused in my watching of the series. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, like, I feel like Ray and Ah Jian only had like 10 minutes of screen time in total throughout the whole series, so I don't know. Maybe like just viewing it from like Ah Jian, or see, I'm getting the names mixed up now, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Ye Guang and Qi Zhang, like maybe just viewing it from their point of view is why I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. I mean, from a personality character perspective, I would probably be usually more drawn to the side couple because the main couple is too soft for me. Weird, okay, but I think that they sort of put out the aesthetic of them like being a little more on the bad boy side.
Mature side, yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't pan out because they weren't like fleshing it out properly. So I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah. I think that definitely Ye Guang was the most fleshed out character, because we spent the most time with like him and his parents and him working around that situation. I do agree. I kind of wish I'd spent more time with Qi Zhang and like his familial situation and like his dad passing away and stuff like that. I do appreciate that he was like meant to be a poor person that actually looked poor, which is like Kayla was saying, something we've talked about in BLs before, like his kind of rundown apartment, but had like the cozy vibes that Ye Guang doesn't have in his own home type thing. But yeah, I think that out of the characters, Ye Guang was kind of like the most fleshed out of them, just because we spent so much time on his story and his feelings with his parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think that's, maybe I was just drawn to him. Those parental issues were kind of hitting, maybe, and so that's why I resonated with the character a little bit. But yeah, I don't know.
That's fair.
I think for me, that main couple relationship and the OST just kind of like overshadowed everything.
I kind of feel like that too.
But yeah.
I did enjoy the musical aspect of it. I did.
Yeah, I wish we kind
That
of
was
see
a
more of
highlight.
like the band performances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have any final thoughts before we give ratings?
No.
Alright.
I'm not that invested. Sorry, I don't have any thoughts.
Heather says she loved it, so Heather's on my team with this one. I'll go first and say I will give it a 4, just to get mine out of the way. I do agree, I think that some of the plot points kind of fell off in that final episodes. Like, they started a lot of stuff that they couldn't finish, or they didn't finish. But overall, I don't know, I look back on it and I just really enjoyed watching it, and I really connected with it for some reason. So I would say a 4 for me.
I think I'm gonna say a 3 out of 5 because I loved everything with that main couple, Ye Guang and Qi Zhang. But they're really the only characters I was invested in because the other ones weren't given enough time to be fleshed out, like we said. But I think that the story is solid. Like, I think it's generally good. But I don't know if, like, also how Pixie said, I don't know if it's going to have the longevity of something that's going to stay with me in the back of my mind. So,
Yeah.
definitely a 3.
Yeah. I was going back and forth on what to actually, like, give it. And I think I've landed on 2.5. Because for me, anything 2 and under is bad. And like I said, I don't think it's bad, it's just boring. So a 2.5, it's like in the middle, sort of, and yeah. I'll land on that.
It's fair. Heather said before we finish, the girl in the very first episode, that was like confessing to Ye Guang, did the choreo for What's Up Da by, is Kepler? Is that the?
Yeah, Kepler.
But the music
I was so confused. I was so confused.
Not a Kepler song.
No. Yeah, that was interesting.
That girl was also like another person who was just kind of there in the first episode and never came back. But yeah. All right, well, we obviously had very mixed opinions on it, so I'd be curious to see what our patrons and eventually our general public listeners and viewers think about it. So be sure to share your thoughts with us in the comments, in our Discord, over on our social media. And friendly reminder that all of our reviews are voted on by our patrons, and they get early access to watch them a month before the general public does. So if you're interested in choosing which series we review next, consider joining us on the LoveCast Patreon family. It's also a great way to support the podcast if you're interested in doing that. We've got some big plans, so your support is going to be very much appreciated in the coming season. But yeah, thanks for catching this month's review, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.